Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, traders in Gombe cattle market say their business suffer from naira scarcity, mobile banking literacy. President Buhari approves Transition Council, signs Executive Order 14. PDP presidential candidate campaigns in Kano as Tinubu promises to end banditry in Sokoto. Away from Nigeria, earthquake death toll passes 20,000 as first UN aid convoy reaches Syria. Hello and welcome to the News Hour on Trust Television. I am Ayuba Hila. Thanks for joining. And now the details. The recent scarcity of naira notes and literacy gap in mobile banking is taking a toll on cattle traders in Gombe State. Some of the traders who spoke with Trust TV said that once lively Gombe cattle market, which operates on Thursdays and famed as one of the largest in the northeastern part of the country, is now a shadow of itself. Ibrahim Ismail reports.
It is business day for cattle marketers at the Gombe Cattle Market, located in Tashanduku axis. But business operators say the market used to be busier than it is today. They are attributing the drop in commercial activities to the scarcity of naira notes and the fact that most of them have little or no understanding of the cashless policy. I will take my cattle back home because I don't want to receive transfer and don't have a bank account. Those who did are suffering to get their money. I also make a mobile banking transaction, but I am yet to get the cash at hand, which I want to use to buy an animal for breeding. A cow that I used to sell for 500,000 naira is now 300,000 or 250,000 naira. Instead of recording profits, I record some loss. It is a setback to my business. If you want to buy goods, no matter how little, they won't give you cash. They will prefer transfer. But we the villagers don't have access to bank accounts because we believe that banking system is for those who went to school and government elites, and also due to the poor literacy level in rural areas. Sallau Ali is the wakil in Sarkin Kaswa of the Gombe Cattle Market. According to him, they export about 120 trucks of cattle on weekly basis, but however lamented that the figure has fallen to less than 50 due to the scarcity of naira notes. The problem is the goods have two different prices. Those who have cash in hand and for those who are using mobile banking. There is price depreciation of up to 100,000 naira per cow. Because of the scarcity of cash, many people are not coming to the market right now. According to some of the cattle marketers, prices of cattle at the market have dropped by at least 10%, forcing them to record in loss. The hope of these cattle dealers is for the relevant authorities in the banking sector to make cash available to ease their sufferings. From Gombe, Ibrahim Ismail reporting for Trust TV.
In a similar vein, farmers of perishable items such as tomatoes, potatoes, cabbage, among others, are worried about the fall in the prices of their commodities. The farmers, who attributed the cause of the crash to the scarcity of the naira notes, called on the federal government to reconsider its decision to ban the collection of old naira notes to enable commercial banks release the sufficient naira notes to their customers. Ado Musa reports.
Farmers and dealers of vegetables in Jos say the shortage of naira notes has drastically brought down the prices of their commodities, adding that the situation is forcing them to sell the vegetable at a loss, considering how much they have invested in their farms. Some of the farmers who complained about the lack of storage facilities to preserve the vegetables said they had no choice than sell the commodities at whatever price they are offered.
Gaskiya muna da matsaloli da yawa a nan kasuwa. We're in a terrible situation in this market. We were enjoying our tomato business when suddenly the federal government introduced the new Naira notes and asked us to return the old notes to the bank. People took the notes to the bank and hoped to get the new ones. But the banks have not been able to pay customers with the new ones. The business has been dealt a terrible blow. Tomatoes are perishing.
Before now, we sold it 2005, 2007. But due to poor availability of leather and currency of the kind, we now sold at 900. And even the person that bought the tomato as of now, he went to the POS looking for a cash because we don't have a cash, and I will not allow them to take the tomatoes till another day because I don't know them. So now, when you look down the market entirely, there's no business. Nobody is buying and nobody is selling because people are not accepting transfer.
We used to sell 100 kg of cabbage at the rate of 11,000 naira when buyers paid in cash. But today, the price has reduced to 6,000 naira. We are calling on the government to come to our aid because we are in a precarious situation. If what they are doing is for our own good, let them consider our situation. Many farmers and dealers of various perishable goods in Jos continue to count losses as the prices of commodities continue to fall by the day due to the shortage of Naira notes in the country. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
Now determined to demonstrate that the 2023 general elections will hold as scheduled, President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the establishment of a Presidential Transition Council. The Transition Council will facilitate and manage the 2023 transition program. The committee will be made up of members of the Cabinet, 13 permanent secretaries, members of the National Security Council, Chief Registrar of the Supreme Court, and 2 representatives to be nominated by the President-elect. To give legal backing to the Council, the President has signed Executive Order 14 of the 2023 on the facilitation and management of the presidential transitions. A key feature of the Presidential Executive Order number 14 is the provision of a legal framework that will enable a seamless transition of power from one presidential administration to another. The National Universities Commission has ordered the closure of universities across the country to enable students to participate in the February 25 and March 11 general elections. In a letter addressed to Vice Chancellors of all universities and directors of inter-university centers, the NUC noted that the directive is based on the instruction of the Minister of Education, Adamu Adamu. The Independent National Electoral Commission had in January presented a register containing 93,469,008 voters for the 2023 general elections. Of the total registered voters, the number of young people between the ages of 18 and 34 stood at 37,060,399, representing 39.65% of the total registered voters, while the elderly between the ages of 50 and 69 stood at 17,700,270, representing 18.94% of the total registered voters. The chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Mahmoud Yakubu, has described the university system as an important institution in the conduct of a successful election. Yakubu stated this when he met with vice chancellors of the nation's universities in Abuja. Noel Samson was at the meeting for Trust TV and now reports.
According to the Commission's chairman, this year's election has the highest numbers of registered voters in Nigeria's history, as 93 million registered to vote. He said the meeting with the vice chancellors is part of effort towards ensuring the Commission, with the support of critical stakeholders, deliver a free, fair, and generally acceptable polls to Nigerians.
Collation of results will take place in 8,809 registration areas or wards, 174 local government areas, and 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory. In addition, will require returning officers for each constituency. Put together, we will engage 23,258 personnel as collation and returning officers. And it is for this reason that this meeting is crucial. We need the support of our universities to source the requisite number of suitably qualified academic staff of impeccable integrity who must also understand that this is a call to national service.
The Deputy Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Universities Commission, NUC, and the Chairman, Committee of Vice Chancellors, appreciated the Commission's faith in them and promised not to disappoint Nigerians.
We would like to repeat and underscore our gratitude to INEC for always recognizing this constituency. Why haven't they gone to the civil service proper? Why not to the unions? Why not to the bankers? I think this underscores the importance that the nation, the trust, the confidence that the nation reposes on the Nigerian university system.
We expect that in any role that we are given, I can almost vouch that because we have been tested, we have gone through the meals, and we have come out stronger, that we will deliver to this nation.
Meanwhile, the leadership of the Nigeria Bar Association also visited the Commission's headquarters in Abuja to identify with what the Commission is doing towards conducting a free, fair, and credible elections.
Any attempt by anyone or any group of persons to intimidate or harass INEC in the discharge of its constitutional responsibility, please, my chairman, just know that you can place a demand on INEC and give us responsibilities that will help secure the independence of INEC, the integrity of INEC, and the integrity of the process.
In all this engagement, the Commission has always reiterated its stand that it will deliver to Nigerians an election that will reflect the will of the people. Noel Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar has promised to reopen land borders and restore economic prosperity if elected into office come February 25. Atiku addressed thousands of party supporters at the Sani Abacha Stadium in Kano, venue of the campaign rally. Trust TV correspondent Idris Debrin was there and now reports.
The PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar and top other members of the party arrived in the Sani Abacha Stadium in Kano to officially flag off the party's presidential campaign rally amid increasing concern over the problem of Naira redesign. According to the party's presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar, Nigeria has suffered a lot of economic hardship in the hand of the ruling All Progressive Congress, a problem he promised to resolve if elected into office.
Do you want the return of peace in Kano? Do you want the return of agricultural prosperity in Kano? Do you want the return of your industries in Kano? Now, do you want the borders open?
The problem of the newly redesigned Naira notes, high cost of living among Nigerians, failure of education and health sectors are some of the problems the opposition People's Democratic Party promised to address if the party's candidate become the nation's president.
They are planning to bring in monies, both old and new currency. In fact, they are even planning to bring fake currency to deceive you on election day. It is your money that they should have used to provide security, to provide infrastructure, to provide employment and enabling environment for businesses to grow.
According to the People's Democratic Party, over the last 8 years, the ruling All Progressive Congress has failed to fulfill its promises to Nigerians as poor masses have continued to become poorer.
Let me reassure you that the better days of Kano will be back under Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. Kano used to be the place wherever, anywhere in the world, they are looking for better tailoring, they will come to Kano. all the tiny companies, all the big factories that were here, they were all closed down. But today we have good news for you. Under Atiku Abubakar, when I say economy, you say Atiku. Economy.
The PDP presidential campaign rally in Kano was witnessed by thousands of party supporters across the 44 local government areas of the state. Idris Jubrin, Trust TV News, Kano.
The presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Tinubu, has promised to eliminate corruption and banditry if elected. Tinubu made the promise while addressing their supporters at the rally in Sokoto State on Thursday. He said that the party is seeking re-election to enable it clean up what is remaining of the mess it met in 2015 when it dislodged the PDP. President Muhammadu Buhari, who was accompanied by governors of Kebbi, Kaduna, Zamfara and Plateau states at the campaign, thanked the people of the state for coming out in their numbers to receive them and called for support for the presidential governorship and other candidates of the party.
We promise we will work hard. We will eliminate corruption. We will drive away madness called kidnapping. We will do hard work, clean Nigeria of rubbish. You, in the name of our party, in the name of Allah Almighty, we promise you better education, job opportunity, agricultural produce, and better market for Nigeria that will make you happy, make your children happy, answer your prayers in the name of Allah.
Now, away from politics, Chairman of the National Population Commission, Nasiru Kwara, says all is now set for the first 2023 digital population and housing census in Nigeria, 17 years after the last head count was conducted. Trust TV's Shafiu Suleiman reports that to this end, a publicity committee for the enumeration expected to deliver credible and reliable database for development purposes has been inaugurated in Abuja.
Too much appeared to be on the Buhari administration's table as it bids farewell to the villa on the 29th of May this year. General elections are billed to hold this month and next. Population census will follow immediately. But the president is determined to leave a legacy of a credible election and a reliable national census for a nation projected to have over 200 million population, growing at a frightening figure.
I want to assure and reassure my fellow countrymen and women and the international community, the National Population Commission is irrevocably committed to ensuring that everything about the 2023 population and housing census is done rightly and professionally.
Preparation for the national housing and headcount is rapidly progressing, with the conclusion of enumeration area demarcation and online recruitment of enumerators and other critical manpower, and now inauguration of the publicity committee headed by the Minister of Information and Culture.
Census is taking place close to the election period, when the din of campaign noise is loudest. We must therefore ensure that the electionary campaign does not hinder sensitization of our people and find a deserved place for the census in national discourse.
With about 12 billion naira so far expended on the much anticipated national census, last conducted in 2006, concerns however remain on the ability of the government to deliver two key national projects in the face of a volatile political and social environment. Shafiu Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And on security matters, the Defense Headquarters says troops have eliminated 77 terrorists in various operations across theaters of operations in the Northeast, North Central and Northwest in the last 2 weeks. The Director of Defense Media Operations Major General Musa Damadami said troops of Operation Hadin K operating in the Northeast eliminated 56 Boko Haram and Islamic State of West Africa Province terrorists, apprehended 26 and rescued 59 victims within the period. He said Air Component also eliminated terrorists in recent air operations conducted at Gogore, a terrorist hideout, Damboa, Tumbun Dila, Arege and nearby settlements in the western fringes of Tumbuns in Borno. Namadami said a total of 340 terrorists and members of their families surrendered to troops at different locations within the theater. In the Northwest Zone, Namadami said that troops of Operation Hadarin Daji had within the weeks in review neutralized 16 terrorists and apprehended 7 in different operations across the zone. He said the troops recovered 12 AK-47 rifles, 16 locally made pistols, 1 FN rifle, 48 rounds of 7.62 mm special ammunition. One person was confirmed killed on Thursday morning in multiple crashes on Kara Bridge outward the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. About 7 vehicles, including a container-laden truck, were involved in the multiple accidents that have paralyzed movement and left motorists and travelers on the ever-busy road stranded in a nerve-wracking gridlock. Now, already first responders, including officers of the Federal Road Safety Corps and the Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, have arrived at the scene. The FRSC Sector Commander in Ogun State, Ahmed Umar, said a traffic hawker was killed in the unfortunate accident, adding that emergency responders are still rescuing those injured. Umar attributed the cause of the accident to brake failure by the truck, whose driver rammed into the vehicles in front of him from behind. The situation, coupled with the repair works ongoing on the narrowed road, has caused intense traffic along the axis, with scores of motorists struggling to find their way out of Lagos.
We have a lot of accidents. This is so sad.
You're watching the News Hour on Trust Television. Coming up shortly, we'll take a look at why sustaining immunization is necessary. Details of this and more after the break.
Security has to be an area they must work on.
We are going to have our own country called Biafra.
You are afraid to come out and move about, lest one hoodlum or the other will harm you.
If people who have guns and the rest of them could be attacked, how about we, the helpless citizens?
Olu office was attacked. The Isu office was attacked.
I haven't even seen where people are going to collect their PVC for voting.
The IPOB people, they're not criminals, but they're just crying out for justice and help.
We would deploy reasonably and strategically to make sure that we decimate the activities of these bad elements who are causing problems in the land.
At last, the elections are here. Let's turn out en masse on election day and vote Asiwaju Bola Tinubu as President of Nigeria for a renewed hope and a better Nigeria. Vote APC, the party that shows a broom.
Welcome back to the News Hour on Trust Television. Here's a look at the top stories again. Traders in Gombe cattle markets say their business suffer from naira scarcity, mobile banking literacy. President Buhari approves Transition Council, signs Executive Order 14. The National Youth Council of Nigeria says it has concluded plans to embark on a nationwide protest starting from Friday against lingering fuel scarcity and naira shortage in the country. Vice President of the Council, Akoshile Mukhtar, said that the move is against the indifference of Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Temitope Silva, and the Group CEO of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Mele Kyari, to the pains and hardship being experienced by Nigerians over the fuel and naira scarcity.
The National Council of Nigeria has given directive, and we are standing on the directive again, that all our state chapters should begin a national protest from tomorrow, spanning for 1 week, to pour out our dismay, our mind, our non-contented, our unhappiness about the current situation in our dear state. We cannot live in a state where we cannot guarantee how we move out to go and get our daily needs. We cannot live in a country where we cannot guarantee how our children can feed themselves. We cannot live in a state where we cannot guarantee our security of lives and property. We call on the Inspector General of Police, State Commissioners of Police, formations of Nigerian Police, and all other security agencies to make sure that crises that are trying to boil out from the recent happenings in the country are being controlled and no Nigerian youth life is lost.
Now, while political actors have continued to map out strategies through campaigns to win the forthcoming elections, Benue youth charged their counterparts in the country to sacrifice personal interest for the overall good of the country. The youths want will-be political leaders to put the interest of the country above personal ambitions. Jimmy Azandi reports from Makurdi.
From the national to the grassroots levels, the stakes are high with predictions and expectations. The old and the young are watching keenly to see who and who will emerge leaders at the national and subnational levels after the elections. Some residents of Benue feel the youths are not doing enough to change the wrong narratives in the country.
Ordinarily, in recent times, not every young man is determined to be selfless to the community and where he or she lives. It is also an eye-opener to all young people that to see the world around them as so impactful that they have something to offer, not just being receiving always. No matter how minute they may be, they have something to offer to their community.
Thinking of others is that most youth have a faulty upbringing. This to them is responsible for the negative priorities demonstrated in youthfulness.
Bring out the talent in them so that they will be able to become good citizens in future and not to become nuisance.
The youths are charged to wake up in defense of the country against socio-political and economic insecurity.
And the youth have to be very, very security conscious, because the youth are the security of this nation. How? Because when you check around the society, you will discover that half of a community, the youth dominate it mostly. And in what the ways, if anything should happen in the community, it is the youth that will first stand out to make sure they defend the interests of the community. So if we, the youth, can't defend ourselves now, I don't think maybe there's going to be a future for the country.
I hope that the youth out there will also try to do well through thick and thin. They should struggle.
Many believe that the 2023 elections present opportunity for the youth to play a critical role in deciding who gets what position from the electoral contest.
Residents of Jibia local government area of Katsina State are meeting other stakeholders to discuss rising security challenges in the state and fine-tune ways of addressing the problem. At a two-day training, stakeholders discuss potential victims of circumstances and how to ensure collective violence is prevented. Abdullahi Amadi completes the story.
Issues such as banditry, terrorism, political thuggery, and social miscreants were brought to the front burner with a view to identifying notorious spots and how to approach them. The training is aimed to analyze and assess the level of engagement of each of them in tackling the issue at stake. At first, the training also seeks to identify local experts to collect relevant information from a wide range of people who have the first-hand knowledge and understanding about the community.
We cascade the training for the participants to have the knowledge and to go back to their organization to disseminate the information obtained from here and to find positive ways of collaborating on how to solve the problem of insecurity in northern Nigeria, especially in Katsina State.
We learn the causes of violence in our society and how to prevent them.
We are going to use the knowledge in order to enlighten massive people from our family, our community, in order to bring permanent peace in our state.
Some of the targeted places identified to serve as a litmus test are Jibia, Safana, and Bazari local governments, as well as Sabor Ungwa in Katsina metropolis, suffering from the activities of social miscreants.
How to confront the most undesirable problem the whole country is facing, especially when you come to this part of the country, banditry. So the significance of it is to get our heads together along the line, find ways and manners of how will the society itself be engaged in handling the situation, not just tackling it, not just finishing it. How do you survive through it?
Unfortunately, such gatherings are being made everywhere, here and there, but the solutions that were proposed, that were identified, that are really, if implemented, will be a solution to the whole problem. But they will not be implemented.
While developing a theory of change, the meeting resolved to develop a work plan in that regard, with all the participants narrowing down to sensitization skills and came to terms on tackling drugs abuse head-on. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Crossed Television News, Katsina.
The need to revive the local government administration to address issues of unemployment at the local level has been stressed. Speaking with our reporter in Makurdi, residents said that effective administration of the third tier of government will help reduce insecurity, which is worsened by unemployment. The report.
A university lecturer and current affairs analyst said the local government administration was viable in the early 90s and was known to have solved several problems, including insecurity. He said for Nigeria to get it right, the state governors must grant full autonomy to the third tier of government.
Back to the 1990s, when here in Benin, Father, the governor of the state, and local government then had autonomy. We saw what, particularly in my own local, I saw what happened. Because the local government is the nearest government to the rural area. Because hunger is a security problem. Unemployment is a security problem. But when the local government was autonomous, they could employ, take off the youth, the quarter of our youth that today constitute security challenges to our country, take them off the street. So they were gainfully employed and will hold on to their job and they were doing better. So as a person and as a Democrat, I totally and wholly subscribe to local government autonomy. Let the third tier of government be given its own face so that the people will benefit directly from their resources.
To others, however, the home front must be empowered with requisite knowledge and wherewithal to enable it to instill the right ethical values in children.
What was meant to be a redemption to the local people within the state and also within their locals, has turned out to be not just only a huge disappointment, but also a dangerous menace to the already disease they had before the establishment of the system. So to my mind, it's not working.
Today in Nigeria, we don't even know what is coming again. After COVID now, we are not through with COVID. Look at where we find ourselves today. In Nigeria today, with the resources we are having, with your money, you can't get money from the banks. These are issues. Money, you can't get money. Your little money to feed your family, you can't get. You go about begging, everything is there. Who will you beg from? The richer ones are there getting. We don't even know what we are going to do.
2023 is an election year, and citizens are hopeful that the next crop of leaders will listen and act in line with the expectations of Nigerians for a better country.
The federal government says the success of ongoing immunization and vaccination campaign against various deadly and vaccine-preventable diseases in rural communities depends on the level of support vaccine administrators enjoy from traditional leaders in various communities. At a meeting of the National Primary Health Care Development Agency and the Northern Traditional Leaders Council on Primary Health Care Service Delivery, the government added that it is preparing to receive and introduce malaria vaccines, the human papilloma virus vaccines, along with pre-existing vaccines to boost the nation's vaccination effort. The report.
The federal government, through the Ministry of Health and the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, during the meeting with the Northern Traditional Leaders Council on Primary Healthcare Service Delivery, emphasized the need to strengthen the country's primary healthcare systems that serve the grassroots through advocacies and interventions from traditional leaders, especially as the country awaits the introduction of more vaccines for vaccine-preventable diseases.
We know that vaccination is not something that people gladly take because many do not see any reason why you want to give them medicine when they are not sick, or you want to give them an injection where they are not complain of anything. And it is the persuasive effort of the traditional institutions that makes acceptance of vaccines possible in this country. And I would like to humbly request that traditional leaders, please ask for your own primary healthcare center in a ward. Every ward must have one. Everything can go on in there. From this immunization we're talking about now, will just be a stone's throw away from population. And it's easier for them to not only to get their immunization, but for the immunization to be monitored, can be monitored more closely.
The Emir of Arugungun, Sumaila Meira, speaking on behalf of the Sultan of Sokoto, Saad Abubakar III, says traditional leaders will continue to encourage their subordinates to take advantage of the primary healthcare systems.
We assure you we will continue to do our best to ensure that every husband and every mother is mobilized and motivated to demand for PHC services, especially vaccines, for their children and family.
In line with reducing the spread of the variant polioviruses to zero and eradicating the CVPV2, the NPHCDA charged the traditional leaders to strengthen their communities through further engagement.
We've made progress in the last 5 years, but that progress is not enough to make sure that we eradicate these vaccine-preventable diseases. This is why your voice, which carries so much power in our communities, is very, very important, so that as we carry out the campaigns, we are able to ensure that community members take their kids for vaccination in the health facilities.
The presence of traditional leaders at the meeting, according to stakeholders, is a clear signal that the traditional institution accepts vaccines as safe, potent, and available free of charge for all members of their communities. Aisha Salihu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
The Lagos State branch of the International Federation of Women Lawyers has called for an end to female genital mutilation. FIDA made the call at an event to mark the 2023 International Day of Zero Tolerance for FGM in Lagos. The report.
The International Day of Zero Tolerance for Female Genital Mutilation is observed annually on February 6 to provide an opportunity for all stakeholders to drum support for an end to the practice. While commemorating the day in Lagos, the state branch of the International Federation of Women Lawyers renewed calls for total eradication of the practice, which it says affects women and girls. The chairperson of the Federation in Lagos State aired her view on how the practice has affected women and girls.
The practice has prevented women and girls from reaching their full potentials and has essentially decreased the ability to gain independence. It is an enduring symbol of patriarchal oppression that must be eliminated in order for women to become economically and socially empowered. Boys are also not left behind in the training, as about 800 boys were sensitized and trained so that they can work together as partners to protect their sisters from such criminal practices that happen in the respective communities.
Other participants also reiterated their commitment to create more awareness on the need to stop the practice, especially in communities known to carry out the practice.
So at this point, we felt that it's not going to be women fight alone. We are getting the men involved because some of them, you see in some families, the men that say, oh, my child must be circumcised to avoid whatever they had in mind, and some are women. So we have to partner with everybody. We want to make it all inclusive. So everybody will get involved, and let's see if we can get it right for once.
Man is fully aware of the harmful practice, the danger to his daughter. He'll be able to, enforce in the house that there will be no FGM in my house.
The International Federation of Women Lawyers called on stakeholders to engage in more publicity in order to curb the spread of female genital mutilation in the society and also ensure prosecution of perpetrators.
Media Trust Group and the Kaduna Chamber of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture have organized a quiz competition for secondary school within and outside the state. The quiz, an annual event, is part of activities at the ongoing 44th Kaduna International Trade Fair. The members of Katsima and the participating students say that the collaboration with Media Trust will help in promoting education, especially in the country and the northern part of the country in particular. The report.
Teen Trust is a special publication from the stables of Daily Trust newspaper for students of secondary schools as way of promoting reading culture as well as encourage enrollment in schools. The quiz competition, jointly organized by Teen Trust, a teenage newspaper from Media Trust Group, and Katsima, had 16 secondary schools in attendance. While delivering his address on behalf of Media Trust, the team lead of Teen Trust, Shamsuddin Sani, says Teen Trust is to encourage teenagers, especially those in secondary schools, to become efficient writers as well as develop reading habits.
Teen Trust is a special teenage publication owned by Media Trust Group, the same company that owns Daily Trust newspaper, Trust TV, Trust Radio, and the Armenia newspaper, which is a vernacular paper. Our aim is to instill the reading culture and develop writing skills in both primary and secondary school students.
Prior to the commencement of the quiz competition, the quizmaster Ezekiel David highlights the essence of the quiz competition.
It was brought in by Katsima, the callers, to sit down and see how we can assist in improving the academic performance of our students, and we came up with this idea of quiz competition. And
A is correct. 2 marks. That's what I have.
B, alpha G is 0.
2 marks for Kano Science and Tech. A is correct. That's for them.
Reagim Academy emerged the winner of the quiz competition with 30 points and followed by Science and Technical Schools, Kano, at second position with 28 points, while the third position went to Zamani College, Kaduna, with 26 points.
I'm very happy, although I never expected it, but we were ready. I actually expected it. They should keep organizing things like this because it's going to help us, the youth.
It feels wonderful. It feels great to be part of this great event. It feels very wonderful, and it's a great experience for me, for all of us here.
It feels very amazing to participate.
So what's the experience like? What are you taking home today?
We're taking home a laptop and an award, as well as a gift for consideration.
The first deputy president of Katsima, Ishai Idi, and the chairman, seminar subcommittee of Katsima, Rekia Musa, described Media Trust as worthy partners in the development of education.
What do you call it?
Teen Trust. They said Teen Trust. Immediately the editor was called. We sat together and they agreed that they would partner with us. They are here with us to witness this function. Again, we say we are very grateful. Can we give them another round of applause, please?
The Media Trust, they came and they have covered this episode live from the time we started until the time we finished. And that has given us lots and lots of publicity. And we hope the publicity they've given to us will now attract more people that will come in and appreciate us. And also that it will also attract more sponsors.
Teen Trust won the Diamond Award for Media Excellence as the best child-friendly paper 6 months after it was unveiled on 5th December 2016, a feat that has earned Teen Trust several subscriptions from schools across Nigeria. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
Time now for us to take a short break. The news hour continues after the break.
Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back from that break. It's time for business updates presented by Chiamaka Nwafo.
The Naira scarcity caused by the Central Bank of Nigeria Naira redesign and cash withdrawal policy pushed instant electronic payment to 38.77 trillion naira in January 2023, a 45.52% year-on-year increase from 26.65 trillion naira as of January 2022. This is according to new data from the Nigeria Interbank Settlement System, NIBSS. In 2022, the CBN announced a Naira redesign policy withdrawal limits and encouraged Nigerians to adopt electronic forms of transactions. The recorded figure for Nigerian instant payment system in January 2023, that is 38.77 trillion naira, is the highest on record for the month of January on the NIBSS portal. While instant payment increased by 45.52% year-on-year, it fell by 7.75% month-on-month from 42.03 trillion naira in December of 2022 to 38.77 trillion naira as of January 2023. The Naira on Thursday exchanged at 461 Naira 17 Kaba to the dollar at the investors and exporters window. The figure represented an appreciation by 0.07% compared to 461 Naira 50 Kaba it exchanged for on Wednesday. The open market indicative rate closed at 461 Naira 50 Kaba to the dollar on Thursday. An exchange rate of 462 Naira to the US dollar was the highest rate recorded within the day's trading before it eventually settled at 461 Naira 17 Kaba. The Naira sold for as low as 446 Naira to the dollar within the day's trading. A total of $55.52 million was traded at official investors and exporters window on Thursday. And finally, in stocks, the Nigerian exchange NGX closed negative amidst buy interest in sell-offs as bears dominated proceedings, driving down the broad market. The all-share index ASI depreciated by 0.12% to close at 54,359.9 points. In the same vein, market capitalization declined by 36 billion naira to close at 29.608 trillion naira, while the year-to-date return settled at 5.34%. Market break closed negative as NNFM led 16 gainers and 17 losers, topped by GlaxoSmith at the end of today's session. On aggregate, a volume of 225.3 million units of shares valued at 3.14 billion naira was traded in 3,339 deals. That's it on Business News. I am Chiamaka Wafo.
Now, away from Nigeria, more than 20,000 people are known to have died after Monday's earthquake, which has devastated southern Turkey and northern Syria. Turkey's Disaster and Emergency Management Authority says that the death toll in the country is now 17,134. In Syria, at least 3,162 people are known to have died. Meanwhile, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres on Thursday pushed for more aid access to northwestern Syria from Turkey, seeking an expanded mandate from the UN Security Council to allow UN help to be delivered through more than one border crossing after a devastating earthquake struck the region earlier this week. Speaking to reporters, Guterres said now was the time to explore all possible avenues to get aid and personnel into the rebel-held area affected by the earthquake, which has killed at least 20,000 people in Turkey and Syria. Guterres did not say whether he has specifically asked the Syrian government to allow aid deliveries through more border crossings, but he did reference the 15-member UN Security Council's ability to approve such a measure.
The earthquake that struck Turkey and Syria is one of the biggest natural disasters in our times. Just hours ago, the first United Nations convoy crossed into northern Syria through the Bab al-Awa crossing. It included 6 trucks carrying shelter and other desperately needed relief supplies. More help is on the way, but much more is needed. We have all seen the heart-wrenching images and the heroic efforts of humanitarians battling the elements, the clock, and the odds to save lives. We mourn the loss of so many, and the tragic toll keeps growing. Thousands of buildings have collapsed. Tens of thousands of people are exposed to unforgiving winter conditions. Schools and hospitals have been destroyed. Children are enduring terrible trauma. And we are sadly aware that we haven't yet seen the full extent of the damage and of the humanitarian crisis unfolding before our eyes. The earthquake struck at the humanitarian crisis in northwest Syria was already worsening, with needs at their highest level since conflict began. And the United Nations has done its best to respond. We are deploying disaster assessment experts, coordinating search and rescue teams, providing emergency relief, food, medical supplies, thermal blankets, and other life-saving items.
Meanwhile, dozens of people have offered to adopt the baby girl who was born under the rubble of a collapsed building in northwest Syria following Monday's earthquake. When she was rescued, baby Aya, meaning miracle in Arabic, was still connected to her mother by her umbilical cord. Her mother, father, and all 4 of her siblings died after the quake hit the town of Jindaris. Now, Aya is now in the hospital. 10 people were killed when a makeshift gold mine collapsed in western Burkina Faso. A miners' association member, Abase Dera, who confirmed the incident, said it happened in the early hours of Thursday near the town of Houndé. Collapses are frequent at Burkina Faso's gold mining sites, where local communities feel they receive very little benefit. Now, gold has overtaken cotton to become the poor West African country's main export, with 17 industrial mines producing around 70 tons per year. Informal mining employs around 1.5 million people and generates a further 10 tons of gold every year, according to the mining ministry. Time now to take a look at sports updates presented by Adeni Ajishafe.
The African Soccer Governing Body, CAF, has announced the Cairo International Stadium as venue for the opening game of 2023 Under-20 Africa Cup of Nations. The 75,000 capacity stadium was built in 1960 and is the home of the Egyptian national team. Al Ahly and Zamalek also use the stadium as their home ground. Host Junior Pharaoh of Egypt will take on Mozambique in the opening game slated for February 19. Cairo International, Suez and Alexandra are stadiums picked to host the biennial competition. The semi-finalists will qualify to represent the continent in the Under-20 FIFA World Cup slated for Indonesia later in the year. And still on football, as match day 3 and 4 fixtures of the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations draw closer, Guinea-Bissau Football Federation has confirmed the venue for their game with Nigeria Super Eagles. Guinea-Bissau was among the countries that failed to have a stadium approved for the qualifier after the February 7 deadline. According to update from Guinea, the federation approached Moroccan Football Federation and secured approval to have its home game in the North African country. Guinea-Bissau is placed second behind Nigeria with 4 points, and Super Eagles maintain the top spot with a maximum of 6 points from 2 games. The game is slated for March 23rd, with the reverse fixtures taking place in Nigeria. That's Sport News. I am Adeni Ajishafe.
And with that, we wrap up the news hour for tonight. You can watch more via all our social media platforms and also on our YouTube live stream. I am Ayuba Ilya. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.
From the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.